There was a time in my life when everything looked perfect from the outside, but inside, I was completely broken. People saw the smile, they saw the social media posts, they saw the "I'm doing fine" version of me, but what they didn't see was the war inside my mind. Every morning, I woke up already tired, not physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. My thoughts were loud, too loud. I kept replaying every mistake I had ever made, every failure, every rejection, every moment I embarrassed myself, every person who left me, every dream that didn't happen, every what if that haunted me at 2 a.m. My mind became a prison, and the worst part? I didn't even realize I was the one locking the door. I thought the problem was the world. I thought the problem was my past. I thought the problem was the people who hurt me. I thought the problem was money. I thought the problem was timing. But one cold night, sitting alone in my car in an empty parking lot outside a grocery store in America, with tears running down my face and my phone on silent because I didn't want anyone to hear me breaking, I heard something inside me whisper, "Your life is not heavy because of what happened to you. Your life is heavy because you never put it down." That sentence hit me harder than anything ever had. I sat there frozen, because for the first time, I understood. I had been carrying everything, not just my responsibilities, not just my pain, but old arguments, old heartbreaks, old failures, old versions of myself. I was dragging memories like chains. I was trying to build a future while carrying the weight of a dead past. That night changed me. I went home, sat on the floor in my apartment, turned off every light except the lamp in the corner, and I asked myself one question. What if the reason I can't hear my purpose is because my mind is too full of fear, too full of regret, too full of comparison, too full of noise, too full of people's opinions, too full of guilt, too full of pressure to become someone instead of learning how to be myself? That was the moment I made a decision, not to become stronger, not to hustle harder, not to prove anyone wrong, but to do something much more difficult, to empty my mind. And that sounds simple until you actually try it, because when your identity has been built on overthinking, worrying, proving, surviving, and carrying pain, peace feels unfamiliar, silence feels dangerous, stillness feels like failure. But I started small. The next morning, I didn't touch my phone for the first hour. I sat in silence, no music, no scrolling, no distractions, and for the first time in years, I heard my own thoughts clearly. It was ugly at first. My mind was chaos. It screamed, "You're behind. You wasted your life. You're not good enough. Other people are winning. You're too late. You'll never make it. You always mess things up." And I almost gave up right there. But then I realized something powerful. Your first battle in life is not against the world, it is against the voice in your own head. So every day I kept showing up, not for perfection, for peace. I started journaling. I wrote down every toxic thought that entered my mind, and then I challenged it. Is this true? Or is this fear pretending to be truth? I started walking without headphones. I started watching the sunrise. I started praying again. I started breathing deeply before reacting. I started forgiving people who would never apologize, not because they deserved it, but because I deserved freedom. I stopped trying to win every argument in my head. I stopped rehearsing conversations that would never happen. I stopped reliving moments that were already dead. And slowly, something incredible happened. The noise started fading. The anxiety didn't disappear overnight, the pain didn't magically vanish, the past didn't rewrite itself, but my relationship with my mind changed. I no longer believed every thought, I no longer obeyed every fear, I no longer let every emotion become my identity. I began to understand that thoughts are like clouds. Just because they appear doesn't mean they belong to you forever. And one day, months later, I was standing in a line at a coffee shop, just an ordinary morning in an ordinary American city, and I looked around. A tired single mom holding her child, a construction worker covered in dust, a college student staring at a laptop with panic in his eyes, an old man sitting alone by the window. And suddenly it hit me. Everyone is carrying something, but not everyone knows how to put it down. That's when I knew this wasn't just my story, this was everyone's story. The businessman with $1 million and no peace, the athlete with fame but inner emptiness, the mother who gives everything but never rests, the student crushed by pressure, the father silently drowning in responsibility, the dreamer who wants more but feels trapped by fear. We are all taught how to work, how to compete, how to achieve, how to impress, but almost no one teaches us how to be still, how to release, how to heal, how to let go. And if you never learn that, you can have success on paper and still feel like you're losing inside. So I made a promise to myself. I would no longer let my mind become a landfill for pain. I would protect my peace like my life depended on it, because it did. I began removing things that poisoned my spirit. I unfollowed people who made me feel small. I left rooms where I had to betray myself to belong. I stopped saying yes when my soul was screaming no. I stopped chasing people who only loved me when I was useful. I stopped proving my worth to people committed to misunderstanding me. And in that emptiness, I found power. Because when you empty your mind of noise, you make room for clarity. When you empty your mind of fear, you make room for courage. When you empty your mind of the past, you make room for possibility. When you empty your mind of other people's opinions, you make room for your own voice. And when you finally hear your own voice, that's when your life begins. Years later, people started asking me, what changed? How did you become stronger? How did you stop caring what people think? How did you rebuild your confidence? How did you keep going after everything? And I always tell them the same thing. I stopped trying to control life and started learning how to control my mind. Because your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest enemy. If you fill it with comparison, it will poison your confidence. If you fill it with fear, it will sabotage your future. If you fill it with regret, it will rob your present. If you fill it with noise, it will bury your purpose. But if you empty it of the lies, the guilt, the pressure, the anger, the endless need to prove yourself, then something sacred happens. You begin to breathe again. You begin to see again. You begin to feel alive again. And that's the message I want every person in America hearing this right now to understand. You do not need a new life. You may just need a quieter mind. You do not need to become someone else. You may just need to release everything that is not truly you. You do not need to win every battle. You only need to stop fighting ghosts. Some of you are exhausted not because life is too hard, but because your mind never rests. You replay old pain, you predict future disasters, you compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20, you carry shame for things God already forgave, you hold on to people who already let go, and then you wonder why you feel heavy. Listen to me carefully. If you keep feeding your mind poison, don't expect your life to taste sweet. Guard your thoughts, choose your inputs, protect your peace, let go of what is gone, stop making a home inside your wounds. Because the strongest people are not always the loudest, they are the ones who learned how to be calm in chaos. They are the ones who learned that peace is not weakness, it is power. Today, my life is still not perfect. I still have bills, I still have pressure, I still have moments of doubt, I still get hurt, I still fall. But now I know how to return to myself. When life gets loud, I go quiet. When fear gets stronger, I breathe deeper. When the world pulls me in 1,000 directions, I come back to center. And every time I do, I remember the truth that saved me. An empty mind is not an empty life. It is a powerful life. Because an empty mind is not about having no thoughts. It is about having no unnecessary thoughts. No useless fear, no dead memories controlling living moments, no borrowed opinions shaping your destiny, no inner chaos deciding your future. So if you are hearing this today while sitting in your room, in your car, at your job after a breakup, after a loss, after a failure, after a niceless night, this is your sign, not to quit, not to run, not to numb yourself, but to release. Release what no longer serves you. Release what broke you. Release what distracted you. Release who you had to be to survive, and meet the version of you that has been waiting underneath all the noise. Because your next level in life is not hidden in more stress, it is hidden in more clarity, and clarity begins the moment you do one brave thing.